Yep, we are going live since it's 5. And of course, I'm going to also record it here as an extra backup.
Okay.
All right, looks like we are live. All right, are you both ready?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, awesome. Welcome everyone to the 48th episode of Gotta Spotlight with Liaserenityrose.
Wow.
I am your host, Leah, and I have my co-host Kevin here.
Hello, thanks for having me.
And of course, we have our special guest of honor for tonight is Miss Donna Jay Fulks.
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me.
And of course, would you like to talk about what you do, Donna?
So, I'm a voice actor. I studied theater and acting at NYU and at Columbia College in Chicago. And when I graduated, I just started doing theater and auditioning for film and stuff like that. And um, it's one of those annoying stories where, because I know so many people want to do voiceover, and I didn't really, it wasn't on my radar. Like I didn't really think about it because it was a long time ago, and it was definitely before. Um, People were really aware. Like, I think now an animated film comes out and you know the actors in it, or, it was, I feel like it was more, everybody was doing their own thing. Like, if you were a film actor, you did film, and if you were a commercial actor, you did commercial, and animation people did animation, and there wasn't a lot of crossover, and it wasn't as popular in public. And so, um, anyway, I had an agent who just started sending me on voiceover auditions, and it just kind of clicked for me. Um, and I was in Chicago, and so in Chicago, the business when I got into the business, it was mainly commercials. Like that was pretty much what everybody did in Chicago. There were some games being developed there or people recording games there, but mostly it was commercials. And so that's what I did for a really, really long time. When I wasn't, and then I would do theater at night. Um, and W and so I did that for a really long time, and when my kids graduated high school and left the house, one of my kids was moving to California, and I had an agent here because I'd done a play out here, and so I just talked to them, and they were like, "Yeah, come out and see what you can do. It's really hard to break in, like, don't have high expectations." But I did. I still had high expectations. I really, really wanted to try to act, you know, use my acting in with my voice instead of only doing commercials, which I also think is acting. But so I worked really hard. I got out here and I took classes and I did improv classes and I did animation classes and game classes and um, just to kind of learn more specifically what people were looking for, and just started working. So I've been in LA for about almost 7 years now, and just kind of starting like a new phase in my career.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, like you, like doing something and then finding, letting seeing a door and opening it and going through it and seeing where it leads and starting this, a new connected, something that's connected to what you do, but is slightly different. It's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right, Kevin, do you have a question for Donna here?
Yeah, I'm very curious what the audition was like for
Mm.
Longclaw. Did they show you a picture or give you a description of the character before the audition?
So this was super mysterious. I found the audition, and I sent myself a text so I could read it to you. Um, so it came in through my agent, and I just gotten my I have multiple agents at different agencies, and they all do different things. And so there's commercial voiceover, promo voiceover, games, and then the animation department. So they sent me this audition, and it says the role of Piper, and then it says revised direction. I ask you to, and then from the casting director, it says, I ask you to please send these sides to your clients that fit this new description. They have either a subtle underlying humor with a bit more gravel in their voice. This character likes a nice scotch, or the cool mom vibe. The woman who loves her kids but also refuses to let the kids determine every vacation opportunity. She can make a staycation feel awesome as well. I know this is a lot to ask and it's still mysterious, but we're trying to find a fit between these two different options. And then the audition, which it says start scene, mysterious island at dawn, a beautiful island complete with verdant pastures. Toddler Emily runs along the exotic landscape having the time of her life. Emily, I've been running all my life. For as long as I can remember, I've been a runner. And then she goes into Piper's hut. And then that's Piper. She took care of me. She was basically Obi-Wan Kenobi if Obi-Wan Kenobi had bangs and ate pasta. And then basically the copy that I did, Emily, someone could have seen you. Instead of saying Sonic, I'm saying Emily. Emily, what have I told you about running around in the open? Then young Emily, and then get down. Listen, Emily, you've had power like anything you've ever seen. So um, basically I got this audition, and because as I'm probably a disappointment to anybody who's listening, I'm not somebody who grew up watching Sonic, playing Sonic, knowing about Sonic, mainly because I'm too old for that. So but my kids did, but I didn't know what it was, so I just saw Piper, and the running thing rang a bell, but I was like, all right. So I basically, read the direction like I was talking to my kids. Um, and so then I can't even remember if I had a callback or if I just got the job, but I didn't know what it was, and until I got the job, and then my agent was like, "Oh, by the way, this is for Sonic." And this was at the time when um the animation was either leaked or there was a trailer. You probably know better than I do. And people did not like the original animation. And so they went back, and as they were redoing the animation, they were also kind of revisiting some of the characters. And I believe that another actress had already played the role of Longclaw, but when they redid the animation, they changed her look. And so they decided to make her just seem like a younger mom than she was originally. Maybe the original actress had an accent, maybe like a British accent, but it was more formal, and they changed it to have her be more, to sound like she was a younger mom. And so yeah, so that's what the audition was. Sometimes when I teach, I'm a SAG actor, and so sometimes I teach voiceover classes for the union. And if I teach a class where we're doing animation, I always pull it up. Or sometimes I volunteer and I do. There's like a thing where you can go in and teach classes at grade schools online who don't have arts programs, and sometimes I'll do that and I'll give that audition to the kids to read because I think it's so fun, to be reading one of the parts, especially Emily. So the original in my audition, Sonic was, I just thought it was Emily.
Oh, that's very
That's
interesting.
I
very
know, right?
Yeah,
Isn't
that's
interesting.
it?
very
That's
interesting.
Yeah,
the
I mean, same with X-Men. Like auditions come in and they're secret. You don't know what they're for. And you get hints based on some of the language. Um uh but sometimes, yeah, you just don't know what it is.
Was that the same for X-Men 97 too? Because I know you played some parts in that as well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm Trish Tilby, who's the anchor, the news reporter in that world. And yeah, they didn't tell me what it was or what it was for. I had to read, I don't have that audition pulled up, but reading some news anchor copy, but then also having like this conversation with the Beast and with, calling him. All the names were different, and so yeah, it sometimes they don't want to leak it. They don't want people to know what it is. But obviously, like people who are smarter or know more about games or animation would probably pick it up quicker than I would.
I mean, yeah, that's understandable. That's crazy that they decided to literally change the gender so you wouldn't find out.
Right, right,
They're like saying Emily, you're like,
right.
whoa.
And I'm like, I've been running all my life. That sounds familiar. So, although I don't think at the time I really knew what it was. I was just trying to, which is actually, I think it's really, I think it's good, in a way. It's like there's no preconceived notions. You're not thinking it has to be like this. Like sometimes when you're auditioning for stuff, like it's helpful to know, oh, this director has directed things like this and the comedy is like this, or the kind of animation they do. Knowing as much about the audition as you can know is helpful, but sometimes it also like will stifle your creativity because you'll think, oh, I can't do it that way because it's supposed to sound like this, rather than just being really inventive and just doing what your instincts are.
Hmm.
Hopefully you can do both.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. Looks like we have a question in the chat by Mario and Sonic Fan 01E. First off, hi, nice to meet you. Love your amazing voice acting. Now, my big question, what was it like voicing Longclaw in general? Like how did I think they're asking how did you tap into Longclaw?
Mm. Well, it's really interesting, and again, this was it might I think this was the second movie voiceover I'd ever done. Um and so it's always different. And in this case, I went in, and because they had changed the animation. Well, for instance, I did something recently where, you go in and it's all finished and you can see the animation, you see everything, or even with X-Men, like sometimes when it's about when they're doing the very last touches and maybe changing a few of the lines, you'll see it looks like the show. It's fully everything's animated, and sometimes the music's there, everything's there, the other voices, so it's really easy to see how you fit in. But with this was still, the new animation was still being done, and so the director was like, okay, don't judge don't look at this like it was like apologizing, like don't look at the animation because it was like hand drawn and sketchy, and then it was partially the old stuff mixed in. But it's a if you haven't done it or taken a class in it, or had the opportunity to watch, it's really fun. It's kind of like it's kind of like doing karaoke. Um, like like when you're doing karaoke, there's like either like a line or the words are scrolling past and then they hit like a line or they change color and that's when you have to start. So when you're recording for something like this, you get what's called a three beep, or there's like three little beeps and then you have to start. And you're trying to match, sometimes you're matching the mouth of the character if that's already drawn, or sometimes they draw it to you. But you're also, if you're lucky enough, you can see everything that's happening. So I was able to see, even though it wasn't, the animation wasn't finished, I could still see the drawings. So I could see, you know, Sonic roll in and come up to wake up Longclaw and see Longclaw go, "Ugh," get knocked back by Sonic. So then I know that I have to, create that sound because my character is getting bumped into. Um, and then, watching the character, seeing what she looks like, um, seeing how quickly she becomes brave, how fierce she is. So I feel like all my questions are, all my answers are so long. I'm sorry.
No, no,
Oh
it's
my
okay.
gosh.
It's
All
okay.
my answers are really long. Um, because I'm just in this room by myself. Um, and so part of it for me is like being a mom myself and knowing what it is to like be, come on, you guys, pick up these Legos or my feet are going to be crushed. Like I know what it is to be like, exasperated with my sweet kids, but then also what it is to be like fiercely pulling somebody who's stepped out into traffic, or being on the playground and seeing one of my kids fall, or a bully or something. It's just like those instincts are right there. And um I think that in this case, like, there's no preparation. I didn't have a script. I mean, I knew the audition, but there's often times in this business where you get there and they hand you the script and they're like, this is what you're going to do today. So you don't have time to prepare. And often that's why I think auditions are so important. Like, they hear your audition and they cast you because, not because they think, oh, if we work with her for an hour, we're really going to get what we want. Like, they want you to do what you did in your audition often. And so, yeah, so coming in, seeing the images, seeing that she's being shot at, seeing that, she's getting hit with an arrow and that there's pain and falling and rolling, like all of that action. So you're in the room and the screen is in front of you and you can see everything. And usually there'll be like multiple microphones. There might be a microphone on you. There might be a microphone hanging, like right here in my studio. I have one hanging. And so you're free to like stand up and move. I mean, everyone's seen like all these great videos of all these actors voicing Disney films or whatever. And yeah, it's like the more active you are and the more you can stand up and move around and be the character, the easier it is. And so, I don't know. Do you think that comes close to answering what you were asking me?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Like, uh, I think, you did such a phenomenal job, like
Thanks.
tapping into, Longclaw, as the adoptive mother,
Hmm.
because that's technically what she is to Sonic.
Right, right.
She's such an important person, an important person to Sonic, who raised him until, obviously when she died, and
Hmm.
sacrificed herself to protect Sonic.
Hmm.
And to me, like she really embodies such a selfless character,
Hmm.
because like even like her top priority was making sure Sonic was safe. Like she didn't
Hmm.
care, she didn't care for like even if she lost her life or anything, like she's like, you gotta go. It's
Yeah.
like it's like the only way is to stay hidden,
Hmm.
and and it's such a great way to like really show that, oh, there's more to Sonic's character in this,
Mm-hmm.
in this universe, obviously, because
Mm-hmm.
obviously the backstory is very different from the games,
Mm-hmm.
and the movie is giving him more depth
Yeah.
as,
Yeah.
and because that Longclaw was a part of his like, upbringing, he has like fond memories of her until, when she sacrificed herself. So, and Longclaw is definitely, I think it was also pretty intriguing that like the owls had like this like, what do you call it? I think like a war with like the echidnas, because I
Yeah.
remember the owls were they took the Master Emerald away from the echidnas and then they hid it.
Uh-huh.
So I think that was like interesting to add that. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this is interesting. So she kind of has like so she basically has like this special intriguing backstory of not
Mm-hmm.
only did she like raise Sonic, from until up until maybe he was like 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
but she also has like this rich history
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh yeah, like her kind was the one that fought Knuckles' tribe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They had like this, like, I guess like this antagonistic like vibe with each
Mm-hmm.
other. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, you
Yeah.
know
And I
and
I was gonna say I also think seeing Sonic, even though it's so brief, but like seeing this really so much has to happen in that really short scene. Like how long is that scene? Like 40 seconds or 1 minute? Like
Mhm.
it's short, but knowing what Sonic has, that Sonic is in this warm, loving home, protected, then when you see Sonic on Earth, it's like you want him to find that again.
Mhm.
It's like you want to see the adventure, but you also like want him to be in a family again because he's lost that. So I think that also, yeah, that brings not only the interesting backstory depth, but the emotional depth to seeing that he's so alone after, like, you can imagine like this little kid gets taken from his mother and now he's out in the world. We want him to be taken care of.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Donna. Like, how do you prepare for a role and create a character's voice, when you go in for an audition?
um it's interesting, it's like everything is so different, and um uh for a really long time I was so focused on the voice, and more, and I think part of it too, it's like for a really long time, in animation, a lot of the voices, as well, especially if you look at like Looney Tunes or Disney, like a lot of the voices are very charactery. They're high pitched, or they're funny, or they're very textured, and so I feel like for a while I was really thinking like, okay, what's the voice going to be? What's the voice going to be? But I think the the bigger question is, who is the character? What do they want? What are they what are they trying to do? Where are they going? And what are they trying to achieve? What's their action? So treating it the way you would a TV show or a play or a movie or anything, just looking at the story, looking at what the character's doing. And I mean, sometimes the voice is important. Um, I have a few characters on a show called Bee and Puppy Cat, which streams, I think, on Netflix. And one of the characters is called Double Mouth. And actually, oddly, I have a real history here of replacing other people who um, who couldn't do the next version. So in Bee and Puppy Cat, the actress who was playing Double Mouth and a few other characters was busy and couldn't do the reboot of the series, and so I had to actually match her voice. And so there's an accent, and it's very, very low and very sinister and sort of British, and she's talking like this, and she's very and it's the animation is so great because she has two mouths that are talking at once, and so we recorded it, and then they doubled it, so you kind of hear my voice at the same time, like slightly off talking. It's so cool. But so yeah, sometimes the voice is crucial. Um, but I feel like the most important thing is figuring out the character. And and sometimes things are silly, like we were talking about. I was talking before the show, before we started, about Shark Dog. Like my character on Shark Dog is like me in three-dimensional or two-dimensional world. There's not a lot of depth. I'm talking like this, and I'm, just be it's like me in a Halloween costume, you know what I mean? Like it's not exactly grounded and like emotional. But it's just like fun, and sometimes you just have to go for it and just be the character, be big, be funny, be weird, or whatever they're asking for. And then sometimes, it's, or like Sonic, it's way more dramatic, and it's you're treating it like you would um an on-camera role in a movie, you know.
Mm.
Another long, long answer.
Oh, no, you're all good. All right, Kevin, do you have another question for Donna?
Yeah, so in addition to voice acting, you've also done on-screen roles too. And I'm curious from your perspective, what's it like to do an on-camera role versus a voice acting role?
um it's it's so different. It's so different. And because I mean, I think it's really hard because there's so much to think about when you're like, to me, one of the easiest things is like being in a play, because you're you're on stage, you know where the audience is, you know where the other actors are, you know how loud you have to be. Like it's, I mean, obviously you're building a character, you're creating a an interesting, deep character that is pursuing an action and is, driving the story forward. But on camera, it's like you have to be you've got to know, where your mark, where you have to stop walking, or where you have to when you have to begin, and you're coming in from a room, you're coming into a scene. Sometimes I just worked on this really great student film, and the first day they're like, okay, the first scene is you're walking in and your son is in the hospital and you're crying and you're talking to his girlfriend. It's like 0 to 60. You're just you have to just suddenly, and that happens too in voiceover, but also it's like knowing. I mean, I watched when I did a couple of those when I was in Chicago. I did Chicago Fire and Chicago PD, I think. And it was really interesting when I was doing Chicago Fire. I was watching the actress who was playing the ER, or the paramedic, and just like watching her do the scene over and over again. And she was so good because she knew, she like moved her face a little bit differently each time, and like gave the director a different angle, and just knew how to give all this variety. And then also, like, when you're doing an on camera thing, you're doing the scene over and over again, and you're doing it from all these different, forgive me if this is boring for everybody who already knows about film acting, but for me it's new. Like, first the camera's here filming me saying the lines. Now it's behind me looking at the other actor, but I'm still doing the scene over and over again. So it's like sometimes you have to like save your emotion for when the camera's on you so you're not like exhausted from crying all day. Like there's just so many challenges to being on screen, I think. And so but also it's like I've got my 10,000 hours of practice as a voice actor. Like I'm behind this microphone since I started doing this in 1993. So I've been doing this for a really, really long time. So it's familiar to me, you know. So when I'm lucky enough to get on a set, that's why I'm out here in Los Angeles. I'm like doing student films. It's I'm learning so much from it. Because it's just like getting the practice is a big deal for me. Um, but and it's also a different like you're with another actor. Most often you're face to face with them, and so often, especially because of the pandemic, like almost everything I've done except for Shark Dog, we had a Zoom room and we were reading together, but I did all my Sonic stuff by myself with the director. I didn't have another actor working with me. Um, that's also true when I do X-Men. That's also true. I just, a lot of the things I've done have been, I'm by myself. And so it's a different kind of, um, you're creating a different kind of reality because you've got to sort of imagine what the other character is like or what they're saying to you. Um, so I think that's really challenging too.
Hmm.
Mm.
That is very interesting to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Here's a question in the chat by Trey. Do you have a favorite line from Longclaw?
Um, um, I, I guess I mean, no, not really. I mean, I just think they're all, uh, I mean, I love it all. I mean, I love just the beginning of like, Sonic, someone could have seen you. Like, I just love doing that. Even though I love screaming, get down, all of it is great. And it was in Sonic 2, that was really also really, really interesting to do because it was like I was delivering this really serious message and it's, I loved the end of that speech too. It's so emotional thinking like that she's leaving this, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi message of like this this message that I'm hoping is going to reach him and saying goodbye and saying I love him. I mean, I loved doing that also.
Oh, yeah, like I just love the way that Sonic describes Longclaw as like Obi-Wan. And then like when you see like the way that she acts, it's like, yeah, she does act like Obi-Wan. It's almost like he's not wrong.
Right, right, right.
Oh, okay. I see another question in the chat by the Fluffy Nerd. Would you love to see Longclaw in the Sonic games?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it would I I I I love this character. I think it's so interesting. I think, what imagining. I mean, I've always thought it would be so fun to flash back to the first, Sonic's first 5 years and like, what is that? And how is she mentoring him and is she training him? And yeah, that to me, I feel like there's so many interesting stories that can be told with Longclaw for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Because for sure, like she is like literally like, her story with Sonic is that she was his adoptive mom. before
Hmm.
he came to Earth, and obviously the first 5 years of his life, obviously they were probably good before,
Yeah.
obviously when she sacrificed herself. But she has made a huge impact on Sonic's life,
Hmm.
Obviously we see that in Sonic movie 2, and then literally Sonic gets like emotional when he sees that
Yeah.
hologram of her, when she
Yeah.
recorded that message to him. And then he's like, as soon as the hologram ends, he's like, he's still trying to reach out to his adoptive mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Ooh, okay. Here is another question in the chat. Ooh, pop culture dude literally asks, would you wish Longclaw should have more screen time with her flashback scenes with young Sonic? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would, it's such a fun character and it would be so fun to explore and do more with her. So, yeah, I'm always and even with Sonic 2, like I knew Sonic 2 was being made and I knew they were working on it and I was like, well, I guess I'm not in it. And then I mean, it was the some of the voiceover stuff is some of the final things that they're doing. Making a film, especially an animated film, it's like it takes so much time and there's so much effort that goes into it and there's so many bigger pieces than my little tiny voiceover. So was one of the last things to go in, so it was so exciting to get the call from my agent that Longclaw was coming back.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Like, obviously in Sonic movie 2, like we find out that Longclaw, like her kind was literally, they had like an antagonistic,
Right, right.
I guess I wouldn't say rivalry because it was like war between the
Hmm.
two races and stuff and kinds. And basically Longclaw's kind, like obviously like won and took the Master Emerald and hid
Hmm.
it,
Hmm.
so I think it's like interesting lore to add to her, because we thought, oh, it's like she was like the adoptive mother, in the first movie. That's all we
Yeah.
had. She was just like an adoptive mother to Sonic, and then
Right.
up until her sacrifice. And then now we learn in movie 2 that like, oh yeah, I was actually the guardian of the Master Emerald,
Right.
which was intriguing because the guardian of the Master Emerald in the Sonic games is Knuckles.
Mm.
And it's like a little interesting reverse role.
Mm.
And he's trying to find it.
Wow.
Because he feels like it's rightfully ours, it's
Hmm.
rightfully the echidnas.
Hmm.
So I think adding that extra backstory, and then now she bestows that responsibility on Sonic.
Hmm.
That like because Sonic had no idea about the map, until, obviously when Tails comes along.
Hmm.
And he's like, oh, it's like I didn't even know what this was. So I think it was really really intriguing, that they changed the story a bit. So
Hmm.
and it added more nuance to Longclaw's character.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I would have loved to see if they had any like other goofy moments too. It would have been cute to see like
I know, baby, little toddler Sonic is so cute. He's so adorable when he rolls in there. Oh my gosh.
yeah. Yeah, like I would have loved to see more flashback, with Longclaw and Sonic, because obviously he has like these fond memories of her,
Yeah.
and it's like we want to see that. We want to see like the difficulties, because obviously she's dealing with like a child that can run super fast.
Right, right. And that she's can't possibly keep an eye on and she's got to be scolding him and yeah.
Oh, oh, Kevin, do you want to read the next question in the chat from Sally Acorn? Kevin?
Yep, let me just pull it up here. And
from Sally Acorn.
yep. What was it like when you told the story of the Master Emerald as Longclaw? By the way, you were so cool as Longclaw.
Thank you. Um, yeah, I mean, that was the day that I didn't meet Ben Schwartz. That was because it was still during the pandemic, or we were still like keeping, everyone was masking, and the studios were, they had to be, if they were afraid that if someone was sick they'd get the other actor sick, so we were all separate. And I was just sitting in the waiting room, and then he came out with this mask and he was like, "Hey, are you Longclaw?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he was like, "You're really great." I was like, "Yeah, so are you." And then that was it. And so we parted, and then I went in and, again, had no idea what I was going to do. They handed me the script right there. And so then looking it over and seeing how emotional it was really interesting. Like, we experimented with different ways of performing it, and um, having her be less natural than in the first movie, because she wasn't really talking to anyone. She was recording this message, but also imagining him there. So yeah, we worked on making sure that it was, obviously there's a story to tell. There's a lot of information that she gives, but then also making it be emotional and having her have a chance to say, "I love you." Um, so it was, yeah, it was emotionally, the director, it was great working on it. And I yeah, I'm just so fortunate that I got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely an emotional scene.
Hmm.
Once you see it, in the movie, you're just like, you can really feel that Sonic has like a lot of these emotions that like just seeing her, even though it's not physically her, it's a hologram of her,
Hmm.
like he because obviously he didn't even get to properly like he didn't get to properly say goodbye.
No.
It was just so abrupt on his
Right.
end.
Right.
So it's like that's why he's so emotional. And and I think that's good that he had like a maternal figure,
Hmm.
at least you know, um, learn how to be emotional, because
Hmm.
because movie Sonic has shown to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
He has a
Yeah.
vulnerability, which is good. It makes him more human,
Yeah. Yeah.
because Longclaw was this important person to him.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely, I think, the secret to the movie. It's like the story is exciting, the characters are iconic, but it's so, um it's like family. Like, anyone can identify with it. Like, being separated from people you love and finding new people, new family, and having to rise to the occasion and do something that you didn't know you could do. Or it just, it it's the themes are so big, and I think that, because the performances are so great,
Hmm.
um that it just, that's what makes it so special.
Hmm. Absolutely. Oh, this is an interesting question. Another question from pop culture, dude. As a matter of fact, in a theoretical or hypothetical prediction, how does Longclaw discover Sonic before she thought of raising and protecting him in the past? Interesting question,
I know, right?
because we don't get this context. Like, obviously, he's just narrating,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then we don't get the context of how she found him, and decided to like raise him.
Right. I mean, I again, that's where I feel like I that would be a great story to we all want to know. Like, it would be
Yeah.
so fun to have that, to have that flashback and know, like, how that all unfolded, and how she came to adopt him. And um, yeah, I mean, I wish I knew. Maybe someday we will. That'd be great.
Oh my gosh, so many questions in the chat here. Oh, okay. Yeah, here's another question by Pop Culture Dude. Speaking of Longclaw, there was this one major deleted scene from the first Sonic film where
Mm.
Longclaw took Sonic to Earth safely. Was that your voice, Donna, or
Oh,
was
so
that someone
no.
else?
So that was someone else. Yeah, that was the
Mm.
first, because I know there's scenes online that you can find. And yeah, that was not me. That was the other actress, I think. Or it could have been a
Ah.
temporary voice. Sometimes someone in the studio will just put your lines in for you to hold them in place. But I think there was another person who was originally doing the voice that they changed. That's the impression I got. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, because I know a lot of movies, they have like deleted scenes,
Hmm.
that never made it to the final
Right. But
movie.
yeah, no, I never did that. Hmm.
Okay. Kevin, do you have another question for Donna?
Yeah, so I noticed there's many theories like what happened to Longclaw, but I'm curious, what do you personally think happened to Longclaw? Is she gone, or do you think she's still alive somewhere? And if you were given the chance to somehow write a future scene with Longclaw, how would it go? I'm very curious from your perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I just find it really hard to believe that that Longclaw doesn't make it. I just, she's so tough. She's such a tough warrior. I just, I don't think she's killed. I really don't. Um, and like I said, if they said, "Oh, Donna, you get to help create this film for Longclaw or a scene for Longclaw," I just think it would be so fun to flash back to, um, when she first takes Sonic in, and like we were talking about before, like the antics of like trying to rein in this like the fastest creature and the silliest I mean that Sonic, well, Sonic is always playful and fun, but that little tiny Sonic who comes rolling in with the big flower, it's just like it reminds me of the of Flower in the skunk in Disney in Bambi. Like this kind of roly-poly, really sweet um character. And so I think it just would be so fun to explore baby Sonic. That's what I want. And then just Longclaw, looking on and teaching him things or whatever. I just think that would be so fun.
Oh, that would be a
Mm.
great scene, especially for the character development.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, because because I want to see more context, of why Sonic holds Longclaw so dear to his heart, and
Hmm.
wants to keep her memory alive,
Hmm.
for himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at least if we have more of those flashback scenes, we can see, oh, she was very nurturing, she was like, how a
Yeah.
typical mother would be, like firm,
Hmm.
firm on their children, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
and and everything. Ooh, okay. Here is my next question for you, Donna. Um, Wait, where is it? Do you do any warm-ups in order to warm up your voice?
I do. I always warm up. I start my warm up by chatting with somebody, either my dad or my best friend Amy. Um, and I just in the morning just kind of start just talking. And if no one's available, I will absolutely talk to myself. And then I do some like actual quick sort of enunciation exercises. And if I don't feel warm enough after that, um I'll maybe sing or do scales, but yeah, I'll definitely, unless the character is like, they want her to sound like this, like they want a tired sound, which doesn't happen that often, but for sure. Sometimes in commercials, like there's whatever, like now in
Mm,
peppermint or whatever. Like, sometimes I feel like that low weird voice comes up more in like rye commercials or whatever, but yeah, I do make sure that I warm up. I do breathing exercises. I do the enunciation exercises because the last thing I want to do is harm my voice. Like I don't
mhm,
drink alcohol, I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't yell. The worst
mhm,
thing I had was there was a point where I was living back in Chicago. I was living really far. We lived way out in the suburbs, and I would have to drive into work to work in the studio because it was before people worked from home. And I would just talk on the phone all the way home. And I started losing my voice, and I went to see a voice doctor, and she's like, no, when you're acting and you're yelling and you're making all these noises, you're using your voice properly, you're breathing but when I was talking on the phone and driving, I was like, kind of like just not properly breathing. And so I started losing my voice, not from acting, but from talking on the phone, which, as I think you all know, I can really talk. I can really talk. So, yeah, so I was talking too much.
yeah, because I know I have talked with like previous voice actors and and some of them have said, yeah, do not drink anything dairy because
Oh, it's the worst.
that will coat your like I think your vocal cords
Yeah, it
from what
creates
they said.
phlegm, and so it makes things noisy. Because you always want to try to have a clear sound if you can. There's all these little tricks. Like sometimes your mouth will get dry,
Hmm.
so a nice crisp apple. Actors will always have apples or apple juice in the studio in case their mouth gets noisy and needs to clear out with some acidity. Also, water with lemon. I don't drink coffee too close to performing. I won't, I'll put lemon in my water, sometimes honey. Um, if I get if I lose my voice or it's really hoarse, I'll drink olive oil, which is pretty intense, but just trying to like when your throat is sore to try to coat it and give it um some moisture. Um what else? No dairy. Oh, I don't like, yeah, cold water is bad for me. There's lots of things that I won't do before I work or
Mm.
won't ingest before I work. Yeah.
So when you is it like maybe like room temperature water you'll drink?
Totally, totally. For
Okay.
me, cold water also like kind of it'll make my mouth seem dry or something. I just like just room temperature or warm water.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, this is an interesting question in the chat by another question by Pop Culture Dude. Outside of the Sonic movies, has there been any projects that you've done before, whether it's voice acting or on-screen performances?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've done a lot. Most of my work is theater and voiceover, but I've done some independent films since I've been out here, and then in Chicago I did Chicago Fire and Chicago PD. Um uh and then I've also my voiceover work is I try to do everything I can do. So I've done some audiobooks. I've done some dubbing of series from Spanish to English. I've done live announcing backstage at award shows. For a long time, I worked for Oprah for her network, the OWN network, and so I would do the promos for for different shows. I went on tour with Oprah, and she was doing a big like a tour of like a 2-day tour in different cities, and they brought me along to say, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome blah blah blah. So I did that, which is nerve-wracking because you don't want to make a mistake in front of thousands of people. um what else? Oh, game show. There's a show called Card Sharks, and I do the introduction to that. Um, and then I've been in like there was a Charlie's Angels movie, the most recent one, which was a little while ago, but I played Charlie in that, but I didn't get a credit for it because I'm not on screen. It's just my voice. It's really interesting. There's sometimes where you do these voiceover jobs and they're considered, I don't know. They call it ADR, which is uh, uh, audio dialogue replacement or automatic dialogue replacement, something like that. There's looping, like I've done, or Walla, something called Walla. I've done that quite a bit, where for The Simpsons, where there's scenes where everyone's like playing a game, a baseball game or whatever, and you have the sounds of all these kids yelling or the parents in the stands cheering. And so we'll go into the studio and there'll be a group of maybe like 6 or 8 people, and we'll watch the scenes and supply all of the background voices for that. So as a voice actor, it's so much fun because there's so much possibility. Like I can be a little kid, I can be an old lady, I could be a talking tree, I could be double mouth. Um, it doesn't matter what I look like, it doesn't matter how old I am. And that's one of the great things about voiceover, um, is that you get to, if you're lucky, have the opportunity to play roles that you might never get because you're not the right person for it physically. But if you can act it and speak it, then you have the chance to try. So I'm really happy to do this.
Wow, that's really cool. You get to work with Oprah of all people.
I know, it was so fun. It was so fun. Yeah, she was great.
Ooh, all right, Kevin. I'll let you ask your last question and I will ask my last question.
Okay, so my last question is, from your perspective, what makes Longclaw as a character so special?
Mm. I mean, I think it's she's because they asked her to be a real person. Like, I was thinking about it, like, if I'd gotten the audition, I'm like, you're going to play a magical talking owl who is a fierce warrior. And maybe I would have gone in with like a who voice. I don't know. I mean, hopefully I wouldn't have, but maybe like if, because the character was described to me as a protective mom, um, who's fun, we said all these things about her, who's got bangs and likes spaghetti, or like, it was just like there's something real about her, but she also has this like magical kind of Star Wars quality where she's this mentor, this hologram mentor, right? So she's like otherworldly, but I think what's so great about her is that loves this little she loves this little hedgehog. She just loves him, and wants to protect him, and obviously wants his help and wants him to, she's going to set him on this hero's journey, which is a great thing as well. But yeah, I think just because they wanted her to be, you know down to earth in a way, or identifiable, as well as, special. But I don't know, does that make sense?
That makes
Y- y-
perfect sense to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, absolutely. And here is my final question for you, Donna. What advice do you have for like aspiring the people who want to break into the voice acting and acting industry?
Yeah. It's you know, it's harder than ever, but it's also more exciting than ever. So it's harder than ever because um well, I think I told you I decided to come to Los Angeles and my agents were like, "Yeah, you got to come out here because they'll only work with people who are in town um on these projects." But almost 80% of my work is here in this little booth because now because of the pandemic and because we were forced to stay at home and work, a lot of people just want you to be at home and work. So which also opens it up for they can cast someone in London if they want, and that person doesn't have to come to Los Angeles. They can cast someone from Chicago. They can, anybody can. So now when you audition and you're auditioning for something, you're auditioning against everybody in the world. It used to be whatever city you were in, you're auditioning against, you knew those people. Like, oh, I'm going to be going in for this audition and I know Amy's going to be there and Alyssa's going to be there and Deb's going to be there. But now it's like I don't even know who I'm auditioning with, the whole world. So it makes it a little bit, it's more competitive. But there's also so many more opportunities. There's so many more smaller projects and the ability to create your own content and to create your own animation and have it be recognized, because of YouTube and other platforms like that. So I guess my advice would be to kind of like decide, decide what you want to do and learn about it. Like when I was like, oh, I want to try to do animation. So, who are people like me doing animation? Like, what are, you know, women my age, female identifying people my age, what are they doing? What kind of characters are they offered? And I just experimented and I watched things and I listened to things and I recorded things and I listened to what they were doing. And I think taking classes is really helpful. Getting behind a microphone, practicing, getting to know your voice, getting to know what you're good at. There's it's making creating a demo is something that a lot of actors have to do. And there's a lot of people out there who want to charge you a lot of money to make one. And I believe that you can potentially do it on your own if you have a good microphone and you've got recording equipment. You could create your own. Go to a talent agency's website and listen to the demos and see what they sound like and try to make your own, and send it in. Agents are always looking for new people. They're always looking for young people. So there's definitely different ways to break in. Um, I'm a union actor and I really believe firmly in working in the union. It's wonderful because it's a community of actors um, we've all agreed that we are worth being paid and that we're worth having good working conditions and getting residuals when our work is played over and over and over again. And the union is also very supportive and offers all sorts of classes for actors. So even if you aren't a SAG-AFTRA actor, you could probably go to their YouTube channel and watch all these great interviews and tutorials. But I think to aspire to, oh, not only that, but also to like have health insurance and, like I was able to, um, I've had a long career as a union actor and I've been able to raise a family and have health insurance and um, work for a great wage and had a somewhat normal life, even though I'm doing this weird thing. It's nice to be able to like, live in the world and be an actor. I mean, it's hard and challenging, but it can be done.
Wow, that's very wonderful advice. Yeah, like because not everyone breaks into the industry the same way, you know.
Right, right, of
Every,
course.
everyone has like their own like story of how they do it, you know.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
that's why I always love asking, actors and voice actors about how did you tell us your backstory,
Hmm.
because it's so intriguing because everyone has like their own way to break into the industry. There's like no one way to do it. Like everyone has like a
Yeah.
specific way that's for them.
Yeah, and if like if if you really want it, then I believe, yeah, you have to work at it. You have to it seems there's so many people who are like, "Oh, I want to do voiceover. I've got a really great voice and it seems so easy and fun and you can work in your pajamas." And like it's not like that. I mean, maybe I've worked in my pajamas because I had to work at 7 in the morning, but mostly it's hard work and knowing like I'm in my recording studio at my computer and I have to know how to edit and I have to know how to record because sometimes um I'm not in the studio. The studio is here. And so I have to have a really nice microphone and I have to have multiple microphones because maybe this one isn't right for what they're, doing. I know how to edit, I know how to make files, I know how to send them to people. But also to be trained as an actor and to take everything very seriously and even to be on time and to treat it like as a professional would, like any other job, and appreciate it. But also, I really do believe like taking classes and but also being careful. Like, don't if you're going to take a class, look at the teacher, look at their experience, listen to what they've done, and if you don't think they're good, then don't take their class because there's a lot of people who shouldn't be teaching or shouldn't be asking for so much money. So, find a class in your area where you can maybe even go in person or you're online, but to practice and learn and be good at what you do and be proud of what you do and don't give up.
Wow, that is such awesome advice, Donna.
Thanks. Of
And unfortunately, we will have to end this Q&A, but I want to thank you, Donna, for taking
course.
time off your busy schedule to do this interview.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, and of course I want to thank my co-host Kevin for like co-hosting this Q&A with
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks for
Kevin.
having me.
Yeah, and of course, I am going to announce my upcoming live streams as well before we end. This Wednesday, December 17th at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. ET is the next episode of the Lucky Charm podcast, episode 13. And G and we are going to be celebrating 10 years of Miraculous because it's the 10th anniversary of the show. And we will be talking about the show's impact, how the show has evolved, the positives and negatives, and possibly our theories, for this, what they're showcasing in season 6. And of course, I have the end of the year 2025 live stream on December 22nd, next Monday at 3 p.m. PT, 6 p.m. ET. So if you want to tune in for that, we're just going to be, talking and chilling and probably possibly play one game, to end off 2025. So it's
Sounds
make
fun.
sure to tune in for that. And I am going to drop this right now. I actually have a special announcement that I will be saying at the end of the year 2025 live stream. So be sure to tune in for that special announcement. So I want to thank you all for tuning in and asking Donna here so many great questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so fun.
Yeah, and may you all have a wonderful night or day, depending on your time zone. And have a wonderful rest of your night.
All right, thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.